Hey kids, it's Charlie at Charlie's Flybox, and a few weeks ago Max and I were out in the parking lot doing a video on what's in our river quivers, and both of us have Abel reels in there, among other things. But we got a lot of questions about Abel reels, and some yays, some nays, and I'm going to tell you all I know about Abel Vaya reels, which happens to be my favorite reel and has been for quite some time. This is not because I sell reels. I honestly feel this is the best reel made. And I'll just kind of go through some points, hopefully in some semblance of order. I've written out some notes, but I'm going to jump all around because my notes are jumped all around. But one of the first things I like about these Via reels is they are a tall, narrow reel. So they're not a wide arbor, they're a tall arbor. So they're big outside diameter relative to their size. This is a 5.6. You can kind of get an idea there of how big that arbor is. One of the things with large arbor reels, it does pick up line much faster than a smaller arbor reel. Being narrow, the line doesn't stack to one side or the other, which is if you get on some of the wider size reels, they've got to make the reel wider because they've made the arbor so big that they've got to make it wider to accommodate fly line and backing. These have plenty of capacity for both of those things, but still have a narrow arbor so that they pick up line very quickly. Also, when you hook a fish and he runs out, the reel handle spins much more slowly going out because it's a larger arbor. So instead of it just ripping around 1,000 miles an hour, it moves much more slowly. So it's a little easier to control. Talking about the drags on these, which is what everybody wants to know about first, it's a 5 alternating disc drag. So it's 5 discs alternating between stainless steel and carbon fiber. That is all down inside here. The spool is fit on with an O-ring, so it seals on like so. You can hear that. Endless options on these too as far as colors go. But before I get into colors, I'm going to talk about some of these little machining pieces on all of the Abel reels, not just the Vias. Um, the little detail work. This one will probably show it as well as anything. One of the things I've always loved about these is all the ports, and it's very ported. There's lots of holes in this reel. As you pay more for a reel, you get less of it. You get a very strong, very lightweight reel that doesn't have a ton of metal in it and is not going to weigh a whole pound. But one of the things they do is they bevel the edges of all these. So there's no place for the water to sit. There's no place for it to rub off, the finish to rub off. That is a little detail that you won't see on very many other reels. The other thing is there's never, ever, ever in my life of 30 years selling Abel reels have I ever seen a machine mark anywhere on one of these reels. Can't say that on most other reels. I can't actually think of another reel that I can say that about. Everything is fit, finished, and polished to the highest standard. So they're just beautiful reels, and I'll come back to that part as well. They come in a ton of colors. I do not have a basic black here in front of me. It's basic piano black, super shiny, beautiful, kind of the classic Abel reel. Beyond that, one of the coolest things is all these color combinations that you can sort of custom do if you have an idea that you want, your old school colors or your team colors or to match your wife's hair. They can do it. They can match that up. We love these faded reels. This is a dark blue into silver, or platinum, I think is what that is. And you can see how that fades from one color to the other. There's a red and black here. There's a green and blue. Really pretty stunning. And one of the nice things with that is you can match these to any rod that you have, and they'll match better than any other reel in the case. Other companies, a lot of companies make colored reels these days. Not any other companies make these faded reels where you can get kind of the next cool factor up. And while that basic black is super cool and absolutely 1,000% functional, these are a lot cooler. So I've got a black one. That's the one you get first, and then you say, that black blue fade is pretty cool. That red black fade is pretty cool, and you end up with more of them. The other thing, Max can attest to this because we just had this conversation. Once you start fishing with one of these, all your other reels feel like junk. And even if they're not junk, these are just that nice. They're very, very well-made reels. Every screw, every spring, every piece of this reel is made in Montrose, Colorado at the factory. There's not one piece that they buy from someone else. They make all of those. The anodization is still done in California, where Abel came from, because that's where their painters are. So they send the reels out to California to have the guys paint them out there, and then they'll send them back and polish them up, and out they go. But this is a Colorado-made reel. This was, again, maybe 10 years ago. The Mayfly Group bought Abel, and maybe a bit longer than that. Again, I should have looked that up, but and they moved it out here to Colorado. So Ross Reels, Abel Reels, Dyna King Vices, Airflow Fly Lines, Renzetti Vices, all owned by the Mayfly Group. Um, and everything they make has been spectacular quality. They are really on top of their game. It's not a big corporate gig like so many other companies are becoming these days. And I'm not going to say any names there, but this is a little company. I've known Jeff Patterson, the CEO, for I don't know 35 years, or COO or CFO. I don't know. He's some kind of C. Um, anyway, he's a really nice guy. I've known him for a long time, and he's been there the whole time. He used to be the guy that answered the phone when I called, and now he's the head of the company. He's always been very good to me. Always comes over and gives us a little rundown on all the different parts of the reels and all what's new. Here's another thing I just saw here that I didn't mention. Um, these reels on the inside have engraved flies on the inside of the frame that are sort of appropriate for each size reel. So this one's got a little hopper dropper rig. Um, there's one with a streamer. I think the 5.6 has got a streamer on it. Yeah, that one's got a little streamer in there. So just little detail stuff. The biggest things on these from a functionality standpoint is the drag is much smoother than most of the other reels in the case. I would say, personally, I would say all of the other reel cases are real in the case. There are a few that are close, and it's not that there aren't any other good reels out there made, but Abel reels have always been my favorite. Coming back to why you would spend this kind of money on a reel. These reels range, oh, what did we just look? This batch sitting on the table, I think it was somewhere close to $10,000 worth of reels. They're not inexpensive reels. These are not $200 reels. They're $800 reels. A basic black one, I think, is $600. $595. Yep. So basic black is less expensive, but why you would spend the money? The difference being, think about it. If you're coming into the shop and you've already decided you're going to buy whatever reel for $400, that's a pretty good reel. It's not. There's nothing wrong with it. A pretty good reel. Is it worth 200 more bucks to get the best reel? And then you're done. You'll never be like, I should have, I should have, I should have. It's worth 200 bucks to me. If you're into it and you like this stuff, which obviously I do, it's worth 200 bucks to have the best thing made. There's not many industries in the world where for 200 bucks more you can go from mid-grade to the best one made. Reels are one of those things. The other thing is I've had some of these reels. Max and I were just talking. I bought my first Abel. It was an Abel Aught. Somewhere in the early 90s. I'm going to say 92, 91, 92.
Older than me.
Older than Max. And I still have that reel, and it still works just fine. It's got a few little scratches on it because I was an irresponsible youth at the time, but I still have it. I could go fish it tomorrow. It'd be just fine. They last forever. They're beautifully made. And they bring, at least in my case, they bring me joy. I say this a lot. So much of your time is spent not fishing because you got to work or do stupid stuff like that. Even when you're not fishing, an Abel reel is nice to sit and just fondle and look at the detail and how perfect it is, and be completely 100% happy with it, and never be like, oh, I should have got the other one. I should have got the other one. Except when you decide, oh, I got the brown trout, or I got the rainbow trout. Maybe I should have got the classic brown trout. Maybe I should have got a matte finish reel that would match my rod a little bit better. And then you come in and you talk to Max and I, and you end up with all of those. So I'm warning you now. Once you get one, you're going to want more. But that's my feelings on this reel. There's a lot of good ones out there. I fish with all of them. There are varying degrees of reels, and like I say, if you only let your reel hold your line, that's all it's going to do. If you get a good reel, it will do so much more for you than that. So that's my spiel. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. I think I got it. Reel handle options, drag knob options. You can pick different colors for that, mix or match. You could get plain black. You could get matched with the fade. Endless options, really. Every time I go in to order these, the spreadsheet that they use to order these is, I don't even know how many pages long, but it's ridiculous. You can mix and match and make combos, to your heart's content. And they're a little hard to get. We've got a pretty good stock of them right now. But they do take a little while if you want something custom made. But if you're at the point where you want one of these, you should have one. And we ain't going to talk you out of it. So come see us and we'll have a little talk.